Here we go. All right. So we're good to go. It's good to be here. Mitzpeh Ramon. I said it right. Here in southern Israel. Tomorrow I'm cutting out early, so I ain't able to see the craters. But I'll be back to see those one day, without a shadow of a doubt.
Awesome. We'll be waiting.
And right now we're going to talk about the Breatharian spirit. But we use that word spirit, but there's going to be a day we ain't going to even need to use that word no more. That was just something we was just playing with due to the fall of consciousness. Separating everything. But see, the same energy that cuts on this light, we could call it a spirit. Because the same energy that charges up our cell phone is actually what charges us up when we sleep at night.
Wow.
We ain't been understanding that.
Wow.
This is a bio machine or a biocomputer. Just on that level. And due to your education on who taught us, that's what's creating your reality. There was a time when, for myself, I ate the 3 meals a day or 5 meals a day. Somebody taught me that. And if somebody told me something different, absolutely not. But usually what gets a person to move forward out of a predicament like that is when a trauma takes place. And my trauma was the weight started to go up. And then I started feeling bad. Got to go see the doctor. And then all of a sudden you start seeking help. And somebody said, well, won't you just leave meats alone?
How you doing? Yes, right here. Let me get some tissue.
All right. Good to meet you.
Likewise. All right.
Absolutely. So, I've been on this path for 19 years. And it's been a good journey. But what made me come on this journey again, there was a time I was a minister in the church, and my health kept going up. But I had no role model to go off of because everybody was eating the chicken dinners at church. 3 meals a day, if not 5. And the weight just kept going up, and I said, something's wrong with this picture. But when I ran into a brother one day who said, well, won't you just leave meats alone? That's when I went into veganism. And then that's when I ran into the Hebrew community in Cleveland. And they was teaching the vegan diet. Ran into the soul vegetarian restaurants. And really started to take it seriously to learn more, especially the scriptures going into the Hebrew perspective. It really got with my spirit at the time. And what also got to me was how they practiced the Shabbat, where you fast once a week. So usually when I tell people when they come on this path, fast once a week. Ain't no use of you trying to go further without food if you can't even master one day. So I also see health benefits taking that one day off, fasting once a week. Now when I first came into this, fasting once a day, it was hard at first, just like any old new habit. Before the fast started, I went to my favorite restaurant, got my favorite meal.
Last time.
And then after it was over, I'm waiting outside the restaurant, right, to go get my favorite meal again. But I was proud at least I did the 24 hours. But one day a friend of mine, we was in a good conversation where we forgot about what time it was. And that right there I realized, man, we were so caught up in that energy that we forgot to eat. So that's when I began to realize it's an energy that's sustaining us or feeding us. When you're really doing something you like to do, you ain't thinking about food. Now this is before I even learned about living on prana. Now, I use that word prana, but we're going to get into it for a minute, or what we're talking about. So as time went on, I went into it with my zeal. I said, if I made all these health improvements, I lost the weight, started feeling better about myself, fasting once a week. So then I went into higher level diet changes. I started finding out more about live and raw foods. And I loved it so much, I started teaching people classes on how to do it. And there's a whole other world I found out. You can make breads without cooking them, pizzas without cooking them, breads without cooking them. That's how serious I got. So I started seeing those health improvements. But then the ball game got deep is when I started learning about meditation. Start learning the basics, relaxing the body, relaxing the mind, working with energy flow. And one of my main meditations I still teach today is the microcosmic orbit. And I actually got that on the back of the paper here. And this is just telling a lot about myself and also. And that's just dealing with the energy channels in the body. So I started really taking my learning to learn more about the physical body and how energy flow works. And just by doing that meditation, my energy picked up very high, health improved, my sleep got less, all this stuff took place. And again, this is before I even learned about living on prana. Now one day I ran into this young girl, she was 19 at the time too, and I'm sitting up there talking mess where I'm at in my holistic development. But she said, there's people that don't eat. And I said, what?
Yes.
Right. So I got to go find this out. Now back then, because I've been on this path for 19 years, I jumped on the internet. There wasn't that much information out there. Not like today. That's why I make it a point to go teach people now and also put as much information out there as possible. And I'll catch up with that now on how this revolution is going on. Not only teachers like myself, but this information is coming out more and more because it's always been here through esoteric circles. So when I ran into this knowledge, come to find out they already had Breatharian retreats on the planet in different places. They had them mainly in Australia, Germany. Now what got to me, whether if you believe it or not, why didn't I learn this in school if they already got retreats going on?
Yeah.
All right. So that got my curiosity to going. Now, I wanted to go to a Breatharian retreat, and at the time, they had the 21-day process going on, where you actually go in for 21 days, but two things hit me. Just got married, just bought a house, just got a new job. I can't afford to take 21 days to go nowhere. You understand? Didn't have the finances. So I'm thinking in my mind, whoa, is this just for rich people? Wait a minute. But what built up my confidence was the health improvements I already made on my life. That's why now when I teach this, it's a holistic lifestyle. That's all it is. Because there was a time I weighed 190 pounds, which is something like, what, 80-something kilos, 85 kilos or something like that. And as I began to develop and ran into this message, I was like 160 pounds. So I said, I did all these health improvements, feeling better, already got a lot more energy. I think I could pull this off myself. So then I just kept lightening up the diet, and I really got deeper into my meditation, circulating the energy. So now I said I'm ready to go into it. First day went easy, full of energy, running around. Second day went easy. Third day, and I told this story millions of times, but my sister came to the house. Out of all days when I'm trying to go about food freedom. So she brought a big box of chocolates, selling them for the Girl Scouts. And she asked, could she leave a box out the house? I said, why, sure.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there watching TV, and I kept looking at the box of chocolates, watching TV again. Then all of a sudden, I woke up the next morning, I got chocolate all over me. I said, man, I lost. I'm a failure. Oh, man, feeling bad. But then I picked up this book where it said, don't be hard on yourself, just love yourself. But this is what I realized as I was working on this development, that it wasn't the body that was the problem. It was these past memories of the habit that we developed over the years. We've been eating all of our lives, so therefore, there's a love affair we made with certain foods. This habit has gotten strong. So it was the mindset I had to go into and deal with. That's what the problem was. Because even in holistic health, they always talk about having this mind-body connection. But then when you look at the preventable diseases, especially in the West, liver ailments, strokes, diabetes, high blood pressure, blah, 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 blah. There must be a problem with the mind-body connection. Something's not clear. So we really got to find out what this is. So as I'm going on this, now there's something I want to read to you. I kind of caught you up a little bit here. But I got something to read to you that's real key. And this is coming from a book called Biocentrism by Robert James. Now he says, all right, let me get on the right thing here. He's talking about why does the unity consciousness is difficult or even impossible to prove that it fundamentally exists. Because he says that the language that was created to work exclusively through symbolism and to divide nature into parts and pieces. It's the language we use. Now the language just don't mean like English or Hebrew. Everybody's speaking in parts and pieces. Because even when we deal with our modern day science, in order to, it's measuring the physical universe. It got its good strides, but it's measuring stuff in parts and pieces, breaking it up and dividing it and putting everything in duality. This is key now. So therefore, the human being, if our mind is creating our reality, it's dividing us from the unified consciousness. Because on another level in science, they're saying the deeper they explore physical matter, it gets less dense. All the way to the string theory, where even they are saying it's unified. It's a unified consciousness behind the scene. And that's what religions and stuff been talking about all along. So that's why we live in a good time, too, that you can see more and more science and religion is merging on different things. But if we've been taught and programmed to live in duality on how we see things, it's impossible to be nourished by the unified consciousness. That's why the food freedom don't focus on the food. That's not the ball game. It's the consciousness that must be changed, because if we're dealing with holistic lifestyle or the holistic existence, which means the wholeness of things. Okay, there's people doing a diet, there's people meditating, doing the exercises. But why are they being sustained? Because the thoughts on how we've been programmed is still dividing you from nature. Because nature works on the whole, altruism. So therefore, we got to do a revolution on the way we're thinking. I'm going to give you an example. So you see my physical body, but then people will say you got an emotional body, a mental body, a spiritual body. That's how we talk. Yeah. But you ain't got those different bodies. You only got one body. You're looking at a spirit. All your eyes see is light. You're already looking at a child of light. But we ain't been thinking about that. How do I get my light body? You already got one. You understand? So, it's this duality thought process that's breaking us and separating us from nature to where it's not nourishing you. You don't even know you. Uh-oh. And in anything, all diet changes is nothing but a belief system. So again, even when you give it power, this give me such and such and such and such and make me healthy. No, it don't. If anything, the only thing you should be saying, if you are eating it, this is just an experience I'm having. This ain't got nothing to do with your health. But when you said it got something to do with your health, you just gave it power, so nature ain't nourishing you. You're already going somewhere else. Uh-oh. So there's a revolution on the thought process that's going to bring you back in to be nourished by nature. Now, what is nature? Now, 1 minute we just think of the trees and the rivers and stuff. But everywhere you've been in life, you've been in nature. I don't even care if you downtown Chicago. That's still nature. Because the energy that sustains life is still there. Nobody will be living. See, when you deal with the 3 ingredients, what makes a universe? The universe is right in this room. We see physical matter, ingredient number 1. Ingredient number 2, there's energy in this room. And there's also space. And everywhere you've been, that's what you live in. So if we're living in this matrix, and like they said, or how Einstein said, and all 3 of them are energy. Everything is energy. So even if we was just to take the molecular structure of it, this is molecules spinning. Your physical body is the same thing. How is this supposed to sustain this and this supposed to sustain this? It don't work like that. So all we did was dumbed ourselves down somewhere along the way, and we were born into it. So that's why when you come up out of this, it's a process. It ain't no overnight thing. But it's kind of guaranteed when you really understand the instructions. That's what we're talking about. And the main part of the instructions is, what's that word in Hebrew? Vishinantam? Consistently. I see so many people break the consistency, but then again, this system does not support the unified consciousness. So it's easy for a person. I just did a retreat up north where there was people who came back from the first retreat to get recharged. We had to come back. Because when I kept telling them to stay consistent on what they learned, they was leaving full of energy, going days without no food. This is unbelievable. But when they got back in their lifestyle, about a couple weeks in the game, they lost it again, caught up in another mind, another consciousness. It overruled them.
So it's the environment?
Tell you why. All physical matter has a electromagnetic field around it, even our physical bodies. And in spirituality, they used to call it an aura. But see, that's connected now. It could be proven. So this isn't far-fetched. Probably about 50, 60 years ago and beyond that, everybody just used the word spirit, Holy Spirit. Couldn't really prove it. You're just talking. But now we can prove this stuff. We got trillium photography, other equipment that can show you this field. And this field changes on everything we eat, drink, the way you think. So we do got energy centers. And it's our responsibility not only to open them up and keep them open, but to keep them open through a lifestyle. And when they stay open, health is guaranteed. We really got to understand this. That's the laws of nature. But the creature been going against the laws of nature. And it's easy to do when it seems invisible. It's easy to violate something when you don't think it exists. So when we deal with the pranic breatharian path, and I'm going to clean up those words in a minute so we can be clear. It's just an education of a new idea. And then when you take this idea and practice the idea, that's when you go into your self-realization. See, I can tell you anything. It don't matter about me no more. You're grabbing an idea and manifesting it for yourself, where you'll see the improvements. Now, how do you know the improvements? Your health will improve. Your energy will increase. Your sleep will decrease. All of this stuff will start kicking online. And then you should be able to eat very little. And then you'll get to the point of eating none at all.
You say your sleep will decrease.
Your sleep will decrease. Because the only reason why you sleep is because the body needs healed.
Right.
See, sleep is unconscious meditation. That's why we started out, we said meditation is medication. So you can get healed through meditation. So if you get healed through meditation, your sleep will decrease because you don't need to go get healed that long. Just making sense now, ain't it? So meditation is basically conscious sleep. You're charging up just like your cell phone. So we all impressed over this, but remember back in the day, the cell phone was plugged into the wall, but the more technology increased, the smaller technology gets, and now we're dealing with something that's wireless. But we still need to charge it up every once in a while. Gets down to 20%, charge it up. Okay, we can catch that, but it's the same with the body. We got to charge it up at times, so when people sleep, that's what you're doing, you're charging up. But when you learn how to charge up in wakefulness of meditation, you don't need to charge up the other way. Now the other way just gives you limited energy. Meditation gives you unlimited energy. But your body is so user-friendly, it only gives you enough you can handle. So you can keep the charger on the phone all day long. Once it hit 100%, that's it. So it's the same way with us. There's unlimited power in this room right now. You don't recognize it. Because your body is only going to give you what you can handle. That's why the transformation is you have to upgrade the vehicle to hold more light. That's why meditation is the foundation. Now let's go into why we call this breatharianism or living on prana. Now breatharianism, I call myself a breatharian. That's the word I choose to use. I like it. Got breath in it. The breath of life. Okay, we can play all day long. But it came about from a newspaper reporter up in Europe, probably after World War II, talking about people who don't eat. So he just used the word breatharian, so it kind of stuck with the movement ever since.
Okay.
Now prana is a Sanskrit word that they use in Hinduism. And when I was in India just now, using prana, I'm talking to them. But it means breath, okay? The air, something inanimate. Listen at this, immaterial. The breath. Same word, just another culture. And then you got China to use chi. Same thing, the atmosphere. And inanimate energy. Japan used ki. Africa used ka. Now we here in Israel, not like it, they got a word called ruach. Same thing, the breath, the air. Even in the scriptures they talk about the prince of power of the air. Who is that? The air is nourishment. We ain't been realizing that. It gives you more than just oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. This thing that we live in is sort of like a fish living in water, but does the fish really know he's living in water? We don't know that. But there probably a school of fish right now where a teacher is trying to teach them, don't you know you're living in water? Right. Don't you know what you're living in? So this is why we teach you what you're living in. And I just did a video dealing with protein. Now remember that argument? You only can get protein out of meat. Everybody fell for that. That was a program. Now all of a sudden, okay, we give up. Now, I was in the States a couple years ago. Took a relative to the doctor's office. Now, when I first went to the doctor's office back in the day, they still had the 4 food groups on the wall with the pyramid. And they had the meat there, the proteins, this and this. So when I took them to the doctor's office, they had a new pyramid talking about the meatless diet all of a sudden. See how knowledge increases? Finally made it. And now McDonald's is giving off a vegan burger.
Wow.
So now we're coming on the scene even stronger, saying, okay, they saying you could get protein out of vegetables. But I was just up in Nazareth where some woman said, well, where did the vegetables get the protein? Ding. Protein just means primary substance. What is the primary substance? It's the air. Because the 3 treasures of life is what? Breath, number 1, food, and water. And breath is number 1 because you would die quicker without breathing than you would without food or water. So it only makes sense to master the air, the prince of power of the air. Oh, man, did I just say that? The light bringer. Here we go again. Oh,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Prince of
the prince and power of the air.
Prince of Power.
Absolutely. Now those are scriptures I just throwing because I like playing with it sometimes. But we're living in this, and we don't realize how much this is nourishing us. And your skin is a great absorber. Like we got another program saying, okay, we got the sun in the sky. That's the greatest external energy that's from us. If we live in the electromagnetic field of the sun. Remember I said all physical matter has this electromagnetic field? So we live even in the electromagnetic field of that, a field under fields, even of the earth. So all life is benefiting from the sun, whether if it's directly or indirectly. Hands down. So therefore you're living in it. I don't care if you're way up north in the wintertime, because some of the brothers up there be like, well, how about if I live in Poland? It don't matter. You're in the magnetic field of the sun. You're still dealing with the 3 ingredients of the universe. When I was in the wintertime climate, the energy was still high. Still living on prana. Now let me go back to these words again. Now, since we talked about this breath that we're living in, this breath of life, and you're coming into it, to really understand what we're living in, Your body is already hooked up with nature, so you ain't got to force it to do that. Your body is doing two things. It's being obedient to the forces, the external forces, because every time the sun comes out, your pineal gland, which they call your third eye, sends off a hormone called serotonin. When the moon comes out at night, it sends off, the same pineal gland sends off melatonin. Both of them going into the blood. So it ain't asked our permission, it don't care. It's going off of the forces because it's hooked up with the matrix. But the other thing it has to do is like a genie to us. I feel like going drinking tonight. I feel like eating now. Okay, that's what you want to do. So the body's being a servant to us, but also being a servant to the matrix. And it can't serve two masters. Not to be in its fullness. So what you're going to do, or what a person should do, a practitioner, they're learning how to allow the body to go back into the matrix. Man, it's easier said than done, but it's easy. Now let's get into these energy channels. I was just in Des Moines and we was talking about this duality of consciousness. And have any of y'all heard about the 7 major chakras? Mm-hmm. 7 major energy centers. Mm-hmm. Now we teach on that level because that's where everybody's at. I got to take each person through each one, to show them each chakra, what does it do, blah, blah. But in reality, the body's full of chakras, full of energy centers. Everywhere you see a bend in the body, that's an energy center. That's why you could pop your knuckles. That's kinetic energy letting off. Boom. You really got to understand this. This is a piece of machinery, a mechanism. And you only got one chakra. If one is blocked, all the rest of them is blocked. There ain't no in between. And energy love to rise upwards. So if the bottom chakra is, the root chakra is blocked, which usually deal with your sexual energy. Now this is a problem in humanity. Because they're what? It's the negative force on how they're using it that really got the planet messed up. If there's a health problem, there's a sexual problem. It goes hand in hand. There ain't no in between. So we want to bring on or get educated on sex education. Did I say that? Spiritual knowledge is sexual knowledge. We have to work with the first chakra so that it can feed the rest of them. If this ain't open, it ain't going to feed the rest of them. The serpent must rise upwards. That's why in Egypt you see the cobra coming upwards, feeding the pineal gland, the third eye. In India they got the kundalini coming up the staff. This must be open for the serpent to rise. The serpent just represents life force energy. Let's don't be spooky with it. That's what science is using now, life force energy. So we don't need to use the words ruach, prana, breatharian. We can cut all that out now. Breatharian science is a science. This is a science dealing with the polarities of the negative and positive forces of electricity. Did I say that? Of physics. This is all physics. So the ancient sciences, this is all it's dealing with. Because when you look up advanced knowledge on the internet, guess where it's going to take you? To the human being. Know thyself. To the human being, us. That's advanced knowledge. It ain't got nothing to do with the study of the sun, the study of the tree. It'll take you straight to the medical field. Because everything we create externally, it came from the human being. The camera works on how the eye works. It sees the image upside down, turn it up. The car engine come from our intestine. Put the fuel in, the gas come up this way. That's what we're dealing with. So, once we understand this, we got engines that could go off of the fossil fuels, which is dead plants and animals. You can upgrade vehicles now, but now we could take a car to go straight off electricity. We could take a car to go off of solar energy, off of different fuels, nuclear energy. You could do the physical body the same way. It could go off of solar energy. There's solitarians, if they want to call themselves that. Naturetarians. There's people who just go off of water. They choose to use that. In the same ball game, because water don't have calories. Boom. What's another thing with water? Well, that's the main thing. It don't have calories. Because they usually say in the pranic field, if you could go 3 months with water, you're living on prana. And water also attracts light to it. Now, some people ask me, well, do you still drink water? And I tell them that that's the wrong thing to ask the breatharian. Water is boring. It ain't got no taste to it. So if I'm going to drink something, I'm going to drink something that tastes good. Why should you? It ain't got nothing to do with that. We are a self-sustaining being. And since you got religion and science now merging, all we doing, and I'm going to shoot straight from the head, we bring it back to ancient tree of life they was talking about. That was self-sustaining. Why is this the tree of life? These the roots right here. They're all open. All in the arms. They ain't all clogged up. It's running. And when the mechanism is running, with no blockages, it gets sustained. And especially, let's go into the consciousness. This unified consciousness, what is it? First, it starts up in the head. Wait, my consciousness is here, but this is the physical body. Not so. This is all my consciousness. My physical body is an extension of my consciousness. My physical body is showing how I think. Is that making sense? That's why you can look at somebody, look in the eyes, see where it's clogged up, or in what the science called aurology. You got reflexology points in the hands, in the feet, in the gonad area. You got it in the intestines, because this is all one. If there's a pain here, it's going to show up in other places. Ain't no separation. And it's definitely not separated from the matrix. It's your human being's own thinking that separate them from the matrix. So the matrix that say, okay, so be it. But no man's an island, because it works for the whole. Oh man, this is heavy. And this is why, now this gets even deeper now. I love this. They usually say, even when we look at our brain, it's up here and up here. But now you got them saying, oh, the intestine is the second brain. The heart is the third brain. Absolutely, because this is all one. This is an extension of it. Now let's get into this. Right. So therefore, it does make sense what you put in your intestine that affects your thinking. So it does make sense if we got the heart chakra, basically, or the heart center, and they got a thing now dealing with it that shows you electromagnetic field coming off the body. The heart field comes off the furthest. So therefore, if it's open with no blockages, that's why they say you could create through thought instead of little or no effort. So I'm living a life now where things do come to me without even asking them, because they're supposed to. Everything's open. My life don't supposed to go horrible, blocked up. That's not what it's supposed to be. You're in Eden, where everything's supposed to go good. But when you live in a hellish life, it's because of the duality of a human being's thought process. That's all it is. Now let's get into this. Why is it like that?
Can you ask questions as we go along?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I guess I just let them pass. I didn't want to.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, just jump in.
Oh, okay.
But look what they say about the brain. It's a physical organ associated with the mind. That's all it, because if you go to a funeral, apparently something ain't there no more. The brain is still sitting there, so it's the physical organism. But keep in mind, in the last stage of spirituality, everybody threw this physical body away. In other words, dying, go somewhere else. The physical don't mean nothing. That's what they did. So be it. So all I did was becoming a breatharian or living on prana. I came back into my body. This is valuable. Because if you're looking at a being of light, you understand, this has value. And it can continue for a very long time. And also, I might as well go ahead and say it, it could go on and on and on as long as you want to. Because it constantly regenerates itself. Every time you take a shower or a bath, you see the dead cells coming off. Right. The new ones is right up under there. It's going to keep on doing it. It don't stop. So therefore...
Got a question.
Yes.
The mind. So where does the mind come in with the brain?
Here we go. So it's associated with the brain.
Okay.
Now it is not confined to the brain. The intellect of your mind permeates every cell of the body, not just the brain cells. So therefore, not only your thought processes here, it's in every cell of your body. So what's your name again?
Absalom, Cohen.
Kohen Absalom. So therefore, an individual cell of your body is an individual Kohen. It eats, it sleeps. So you got a community of cells, and your mind is the government of them. They are under the policy that you put forth due to your education. Uh-oh. This is where the problem's at. The way we were educated. And we were born into it. So therefore, we got to do a what? Just like a computer. Remember I said we are a biocomputer? We got to get a new application. A new program. And that's all I'm doing is giving out an application for those who want to download it. You don't have to, you don't want to. It's user friendly. Right? Some people like being sick.
User friendly.
Right. For whatever reason. So the mind permeates. So when we talked about that electromagnetic field again, that's where your mind is in. So when you're creating your reality, your thought process is also going out drawing those things to you. That's where it's at. So the mind is the culprit. Because in holistic medicine, they're talking about this mind-body connection. They're talking right. It's there. But the problem is the mind. If people are not succeeding like they should, dealing with the holistic of something being whole. It ain't whole. That's how we know.
So is this what they call deep ecology?
Deep ecology. I like that, right. And a friend made up another good word for me. Instead of saying detoxify, they said detoxify.
Detoxify.
We got some detox to do. Now this gets good. Now that's the brain again. Or the mind. Now listen at the mind. This is what the definition they gave. It's the invisible. It's the part of the invisible, transcendent world of thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, and imaginations. That's where everything's at. That's why every meditation you get into, first they'll tell you to relax the body. As soon as the body relaxes, the energy starts flowing, you're getting more relaxed. Then pretty soon the breath will slow down on its own. Then pretty soon you start observing the thoughts, or the mind, or the thoughts. Just observe them, don't go into it. Takes you to the intellect. Then pretty soon you go to the self. This is what they teach you. But it's that mind and that intellect you got to get past. That's why you don't give them no power. As soon as you get something, the juice or the power, you brought it to life. You start observing them until it get to your true self, which is the unified consciousness. We're going to make it make sense now.
So when you stop at those two, then you go into what you've been taught.
Right. That intellect.
That intellect.
Because it's telling you where you go get your minerals and vitamins. And when people say that, you don't even know what a mineral or vitamin is. Who told you that? I never saw one. Why should I learn one now? Uh-oh. Somebody taught. How you go get your carbohydrates? What is that? It don't matter. See, we're just talking about, again, this is the reason why this is a science. We're talking about the energy of things. But what? You need energy to talk, just for me to talk. Your heart is beating off energy. It ain't got nothing to do with what you ate. You understand? If anything, it's what you eating that got everybody dealing with heart disease. That's one of your number one. Right.
Yeah.
So, as we go into this, it's the invisible. It's invisible. Again, that's the problem. It's an invisible force that everybody's catering to. And whoever controls a man's mind or his thinking controls his destiny. You can't get out of it until you get another program to change the energy of your thought that goes into your energy field. And then that's going to bring those things to you need. So again, all I'm doing is giving you a download of something different, a new idea from the old idea.
So when you commit yourself, then the energy flows.
I like how you said that. Commit yourself, because there's only one law, and that's the law of pleasure. So there's a force outside of us that's going to do two things. It's either going to, when you get away from the center, your center, it's going to respond. And when you go closer to it, it's going to respond. No in between. Uh-oh. So you must engage it.
Engage.
To respond back to the center. Like I was dealing with now seeking Damona, and he talked about his knees getting better. He, through the meditation that he was taught, he responded, or how you use that word? Engaged. He engaged it. And that's why everything got cleared up.
Right.
You made the forces respond to heal you.
Because he
Other than that, it wouldn't have
committed
happened.
himself to what he was taught.
He committed it. That's what we're talking about. So that's why this isn't about like a lot of people go into it. They just deal with the physical food part and have problems. There's even people who died, in the past, not truly being educated. You ain't got to worry about the food part. All you got to do now is come into the realization and engage it. And when you see the health improve, that shows you engaging your center. That's how we know there's an indication coming.
So there's a relative law once you engage it.
There's a relative law. Exactly. So we know now. Oh, man, I love this. Now, listen at this. But it's those belief systems that's messing us up. The feelings and everything. Now, listen at what they say.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. So now we got a word that the human family, shalom, they've been coining around, and that's that word soul. Our soul. All right. But even if you get an intellectual person, they'll say, well, my physical body has to die. That's that belief system again. But the soul lives forever. All right. Well, if it lives forever, won't you get one with it then? That's all I'm saying again. But it's that language that's separating everything. Now, let's take a crack at it.
That's one thing in which when we say the soul, we don't say the soul like the world think it as and project it as. We say the soul is the inner organs of the body.
Right.
Okay.
Let's get into it, because we don't want to separate now.
Right,
I'm glad you went there. He said it's the inner organs of the body. I'm glad you said that. Now let's hit on the outskirts. Because one thing when I be teaching this message, everybody talk about they want to, especially, I'm also in a lifestyle of celibacy. So therefore, people will say, well, what about a soulmate? Okay, whatever that is. But we got that word soulmate, but let's go into soul brother or soul sister, which is an African American term. Now listen to what they're saying it is. It's a man or woman whose thoughts, feelings, and attitudes closely match those of another. It's a kindred spirit. So if the unified consciousness, which it is a consciousness, is thinking one way, and humanity and their soul or their inward organs is thinking another way, they're not a kindred soul.
Right.
They're not a kindred spirit. Because the thoughts and attitudes are not the same. One is perpetuating life. The other one is saying, I must die. Why should it sustain you? Y'all are not connected. You're not one soul. So therefore, when we turn this around on this knowledge, you want the same thoughts and feelings to become a kindred spirit with the unified consciousness. So if you're getting in the soul now and saying it's your inward organs, I'm glad you hit that. Because you just made it real. You just brought it back home. Tangible. Where we can see it, we can feel it. If it's invisible, you don't know what to work with. So you're looking at a living soul. Because nephesh is basically a living being. A soul, somebody I can see. So when I started out saying you're already looking at a being of light, because all you see is light. You're looking at a living soul. Uh-oh. And if I'm being sustained off the matrix, because I'm a breatharian, I got the same thoughts and feelings as the unified frequency. That's all I did. I came back into my body. I'm not planning on leaving it. Where am I supposed to go? I never died before, so why should I look for it? That don't even make sense to me. rushing head first into death. Uh-oh. Now listen. Oh, man. So, this is what they say. What is the soul of man? The spirit and the body are the soul of man. Now remember I said in the beginning, we could throw out that word spirit now. Let's change it with the word energy. The energy and the body and the man is one. Now why do I want to boldly say that? Because the ancients used to use the word. Remember I said Africa, especially in Egypt, they was using the word ka for energy, which basically means an inanimate force or the light body. This is what they're getting into. And the pharaohs was fed, their physical bodies was fed by their light body. The light body, let's go be spooky about it. If modern science is saying everybody got this electromagnetic field, and both sound and light are one and the same. So all they did was highlight or open up the energy channels in the body to where it got to a certain frequency, it sustains the physical body. Is this making sense? We're going to clean it up and go even deeper.
That's by causing it to become one with itself.
Because it's one with itself. That's why they got the Kaaba. The Ka is the spirit or the energy. The Ba is the personality or the physical body. The Kaaba must become one. Then they got a meditation called the Merkaba. Mer just means the spinning wheels of light. So in the retreats, I be telling them to spin their energy fields with the pyramids. To program or reprogram the energy field, because that's what you could do with a thought, to sustain the physical body. Everybody got more energy. They going longer without no food. It's the way you're thinking. The thought was the problem. We must change it with the light. This is the sciences again. So now, this is what they're saying. So that the spirit and the body are the soul of man. Are the soul of man. The Ka and the Ba is the soul. Adam and Eve must come together. That's the marriage of the Lamb. In India was Shiva and Shakti. You had the two negative and positive forces in you. Even though I'm a male, I was born from a female. I came out of one. What you mean I don't know one? Same with a female. She came out of a male. Uh-oh. So we got these forces in us. All they got to do is connect. So that's why when we went into the physical light, which is at a lower density, but what it's saying is there's a negative or positive force that had to make that for the light come on. See, everybody you see walking around, even an animal, they got this electromagnetic field around them, so you're like a light bulb. Some people is more lit up than others. When a person gets sick, it's just more dim. And you could, make it brighter again. That's what we say, with a person lightening up their aura, you could change your diet, start meditating more, start exercising more, your skin will start getting clear, your eyes will start getting clear. You just change your light. So if this is a holistic lifestyle, you can change the light even further, especially with the ingredient, with the thinking. To know you can do it. This is a knowing, an inner knowing. Because again, the body's doing two things. It knows what it's supposed to do by its nature, but it's also carrying out your wishes. That's what you wish to do. Oh, man. Now listen at this. Oh, one more second. The spirit, the energy in the body are the soul of man. It is the union of the pre-existing spirit and of a temporal body. Look at that word union. That's what yoga means. Everybody's running around with yoga, playing with the word. But it means union with. Union with what? The energy and the physical body must become one. And when I was in India, I was teaching at this ashram. And they specialize in Kriya Yoga. Now I'm sitting there, it got 7 different levels. At the 3rd level was food freedom. That's just at the 3rd level. We ain't even talking about the other levels. And I had to ask them, what y'all do? Rip that page out the book? That's what everybody been doing, playing around with a mat. Union with what? Okay, just because you can bend your leg, we ain't talking about that. There must be a union with the energy to become a soul brother and soul sister again. What did they say what that was? That's being a light kindred with nature. Your body is already nature. It ain't got nothing to do just because you can stand next to a tree. Nature is self-sufficient. We're self-sufficient. So you must have the same thoughts and the same feelings as nature. Give you an example of universal laws. People call me sometimes, we're having trouble sleeping and blah, blah, blah. I just say straight out of my mouth, stop eating that night. They don't even question me. That's why it feels bad. As soon as they do it, it usually clears up. Stop eating that night. Because your body giving off that melatonin, which is a chemical that regenerates the body, it wants to heal it when the sun goes down. Well, you sitting up there going the other way. Of course you ain't going to sleep good. That's universal laws again. It's doing what nature wanted to do. If not, you're going to take it into a problem. That's what's taking place. So these pre-existing laws of the union with the natural forces, the natural laws, that's what the body wants to do. And that's when it becomes self-sustaining. This is serious.
So anything that offsets that, it negates it.
Right. Anything that upsets it. Upsets it.
Upsets it.
Right. Negates it.
Right, negates it.
Now listen at this. They said the spirit and the temporal body, we're taking out that word spirit, the energy and the temporal body, which is formed by the physical conception on earth. That means when our mother and father get together, that's why we all here, because somebody got together in conception through sex. So we're sexual creatures because we were born of sex. Now listen at this now. So that means if we want to evolve, remember I started out this by saying true spirituality is the education of sexual knowledge? It's sex education. Because why would I say that? If this chakra is blocked,
right,
it blows the whole ball game. Your sexual energy is blown. The serpent or the energy is not coming upwards. Everything's blocking. There's no union. There's no union within the inner man, and it's not going to connect with the external forces. We're the microcosm of the macrocosm. That means we're a miniature representation of the bigger forces. Right. Down to the T. So again, I just kind of went against the old spirituality to come back into my body instead of leaving it. What do I want to leave for? I don't know no real estate up in the sky. Why should I go pay for it? Now, now listen to what they say. Now this is the metaphysics. The soul or the Atman. Now the Atman is another Sanskrit word which means we can use Adam or the crown. Credited with the ability to enliven the body. The soul, what you said is your inward organs. I like how you hit that. It has the ability to enliven the body. It should keep continuing. Every 5 days you got a new liver. You got a new stomach. Right. Every 27 days you got new skin. So what's the problem? That means his ability was thrown off due to somebody behavior going against the union with nature, going against the union with their soul. So they're not a soul brother, soul sister, or soul mate, not a kindred spirit. We're using these definitions with nature. That's all it is. You're living in it. Nature's already going off the rules. Our ancestors, it worked for them, and they're still here today. It didn't change. We're just coming back into it now. If you're chasing anything that's harming your health, it's going to let you know. The body's been talking. See, sickness and disease is a good thing when you know that's the barometer to say you went too far.
Right.
Don't keep pushing yourself. See, the old folks back in the day used to say you just have to ignore the pain and keep on going. No pain, no gain. Nah, not now. There's no brains, no gain. When you hear the body talking to you, just take a time out.
Right.
So we have to repent or turn the opposite way.
Turn around.
Turn around.
Teshuvah.
Right. Teshuvah. So now they said, and it was located by ancient autonomous and philosophers. This is where it's located. In the lungs or in the heart. Now science is coming out now saying your second brain is in your, what? It's in your stomach. But remember I said one of the things in life is in the breathing? This is very important because to become a breatharian or live on prana, the average human being is functioning as an earth animal. They're getting all their nutrients from fossil fuels from the earth. You're making a transformation from an earth animal to an air animal. So when your soul is up and running and it's enlivening the body like it should, they said the ancient autonomous of philosophers said it's in the lungs. You're going to become an air animal now. Your lungs is going to become your primary digestive system. Your intestines are going to become your second. For the average person, their lungs is their primary digestive system, and their lungs is their second. They must shift. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I kept saying the prince and power of the air. In other words, the lungs is king. And if the lungs is open, that means the heart energy is open. That electromagnetic field is coming off of us from the heart chakra is open. Further. So they said it's in the lungs or the heart, and in the pineal gland, that's generally in the brain. That means the cobra has risen forth. It's open. And I ran into many people. I've been meditating for 20 years, blah, 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 and this and that. Well, why are you sick? Because you don't know what you're doing. No offense. This is a wake-up call that says we've been playing around, or we haven't been fully recognizing what these things should be able to do, what the goal is, because that other page was ripped out somewhere along the way. All spiritual practices in their fullness. So we ain't talking about just one way, because everybody's coming from different cultures, different family situations, different groups. But the main goal, how they say all roads lead to Rome, your road, to know that it worked, should lead you to self-sustainability.
Which we call physical immortality.
What we call physical immortality. I like how you hit there. That's what we're saying.
Right.
So the pineal gland, that's generally in the brain. And this is all dealing with the soul again. And going back to the mind is dealing with the thoughts, feelings, and attitudes and beliefs. But when we was dealing with soul brother or soul sister, it's dealing with feelings and attitude. Emotions, dealing with another. But we ain't looking at nature as being another or alive, a living being. The ancients used to say that, the Indians, the Africans. Oh, it's living, it's alive. No, it's dead. That's how everybody been taking it. But no, it's alive. And it will sustain you. See, in the States, they had a project, and they spent billions of dollars on it, called Biosphere 1. Bio means life, sphere. And what they were doing, they got their best scientists on the planet to create a habitat that could be self-sufficient from this one. They had Biosphere 1 and Biosphere 2. Now, they got many reasons why it quit. People fought against each other and all this. But it failed. But one scientist, I like what he said. He said that just showed us how much we don't know about nature. You don't know. So, due to where we at with science and technology, like I said, it's great on the external what it done. Nobody's arguing that. But when you deal with the Breatharian sciences, and when you deal with the true spiritual science, what the practitioner has done was develop what we call a sixth sense. Your average scientist is using his five senses to measure the world, to measure things. But he don't have a sixth sense developed. Now, the sixth sense, now keep in mind, this is a bio machine, a biocomputer. Your physical body is the best science and technology that you have access to. That's powerful. It already has a GPS in it. It already has psychic abilities. It already can heal itself. This is the vehicle. This is the house. You can transform it and use it just like you want to. This is where you live. So we could go way more beyond just from the animal instinct that we was going on. Because that's what animals do. What? Search for food, have sex, and look for shelter. Right, that's what they do. And we're coming up off of that now. We can do a whole lot more than that. So therefore, you might have to stop me too for breaks, since I forget people got to use the bathroom and stuff.
Does anybody need a break now? Maybe before the meditation we'll make a small break.
Right. So this is all making sense. The soul, basically, again, we're bringing it back home. It ain't something that's immaterial. is something that's in us and is tangible. And let's go beyond the inward organs. You're looking at a living soul. Remember I went back to the word nephesh?
Mm-hmm.
God breathed in the animal and he became a living soul.
Right.
I am a soul brother sitting right here. Right. No in between as we use these words no more. A living soul that's connected with nature. This is how we know. But before, due to this language we use, everything was cut off. Everything was separate. But we got to bring this force back, which is the most powerful force around.
Question. So, what you call yourself in nature, would you say that that's what's the word is reciprocal, or is it just one?
One. No in between.
So,
Straight
because
one.
that would go into dualism.
Right. Soon as you go into dualism. Now dualism, now listen at this now. As you look at me. Oh, this is going to get good. Hold on, you got a mirror?
A mirror? Yeah, I got a mirror. A big one?
Oh, the small one, it'll work. But anyway, now you don't need the mirror. Yeah, well, you do got a little one. Right, we got to play with this. Because it gives you something to remember. It really gives you something to remember. There is no separation. That's why even what? We used to have having an afro was called a what? A natural.
This is the smallest thing.
Oh, this is awesome right here. Now, as you look into this, what are we looking at? You see yourselves as a group looking into the mirror. But all you're looking at is a reflection that's coming back off of you of sound and light vibration.
Okay.
That's all you're looking at. A reflection of sound and light. Remember I said you light beings? And it's hard for a person to say, I'm a light being. That's just a word we're playing with. That's all you see. So not only you saw me as being a light being, you're just seeing reflections that's coming back off yourself. Now, the duality part is, you're seeing you there and you there. But light and sound, on that vibration of frequency, how we see each other, is one.
Because it merges.
It merges.
Right.
You're just looking at the universe from that center.
Right.
You're from that center. But it's still on the same frequency and vibration. So there are some forces we cannot see because it's more subtle, because our physical eyes only see on a certain frequency. An eye doctor will tell you that. But for us to even be in this realm and see each other, we're already on the same frequency and vibration.
So all these vibrations is all one.
It's all one. That's why a radio wave is down here, how they show us. A gamma ray is up here, but they're still made out of the same thing. So I was at one sister's house where she said, well, I'm not on the same vibration you are. Yeah, you are. You see me, don't you? We need to quit that. That's duality again. If you see me, we're in the same space. Uh-oh. We're on the same frequency. We're on the same vibration. That's it.
But what separates us is that consciousness.
That consciousness. It is not separate. Now, what goes on as you see this mirror and you see in yourself, every once in a while, it gets a little dirt on it. To where you see fragmented. That's that duality consciousness.
Oh, okay.
And this is why there's a thing called spiritual cultivation or energy cultivation. Now notice that word cultivation is a word that we use in agriculture. To cultivate something, to pull out the weeds, to make sure it's growing properly. And remember what we said, it's our responsibility to keep our electromagnetic field running smoothly. Because the electric part of stuff, or the energy part, forces, have more power or control the more denser physical forces. Now we used to say the cold comes from the spiritual realm before it hits the physical. Let's get back into it. Remember we said the mind is invisible? So you think something before you can manifest it in the physical. See how we making it make sense now? Let's bring it down to earth. Because that's a spirit there. See how the words is all playing?
Right.
But now let's bring it all back home to one. So our thoughts again. That's it. It's controlling. So therefore, every once in a while, this get dirtied up. Where you can't see your brother, can't see your sister, don't know you one no more. So that's why you got to stay cultivating the garden, which is yourself, which is nature, to clean it up so you can keep seeing that unity and that unity of consciousness. And this is where the great work is at. To live it, to see it, to feel it. And that's what you can see what nature sees.
So you blur your own mirror.
You blur your own mirror, or you allow others to do it for you. Absolutely.
By accepting it.
By accepting it. Because remember we said as soon as that thought will be there, but as soon as you go into it, you just gave it the power. Because that's why the old folks used to say, even though birds will fly over your head, don't mean you have to let them make a nest there. Right. So thoughts will come all the time. That's all it is. It's an energy that's passing through, but they don't mean it's you. See, we got to understand that even your thoughts is just a vehicle that you're using. That's why you can trade them off. One day you can have one God, you can go get another one. One day you can read one book to give you life and go read another one. It don't matter. We can do that all day long. Change your wardrobe. Use just energy. But the unity consciousness stays the same. That's what we want. Uh-oh. That's where the power is at. That's why in some metaphysics, they'll say a breatharian gets fed from the fourth dimension. Now let's think about that word dimension. They throwing everybody off again.
Okay.
We thinking about outer space, some other dimension? Absolutely not. Your fourth chakra is the heart chakra. It's the furthest coming out from the body. That's what's going to, when you open up that to its fullness, that's what's going to nourish you. Because everything's open. Did I say that? So the chakras you must take care of. You ain't got to worry about all of them. All you got to worry about is the first three. Number one is the seat of the cobra. And guess what that chakra is? It is the physical body. When the physical body and the health start improving, that shows the chakras open. Is that making sense? That's how we know. The second chakra, let's take a look at it. How do we know it's closing? Because you start getting irritable or you have problems with close relationships. Emotions. Deal with your spouse, people at work, people you're meeting, you feel irritable. Well, of course you're going to feel irritable because the first chakra is blocked up. If it's not feeding that, your health is feeling a certain way, you feel irritable. How we know about the third one? It's up over the intestines. And notice it's called solar plexus. Solar is a word for sun, something that radiates. Now, I gave him a definition not too long ago when I was in Demona, and it was a medical term. A plexus is basically like an expressway where a whole lot of different roads come together and they cross over. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of arteries and veins that actually tying up there to go to the other parts of the body. That's a plexus. They all come together. They use that word solar because there's a radiation of energy coming off of this area. This is what the medical book is saying. That's not far-fetched because we got a neural system. In order for me to move my foot, an electrical signal had to go there. See, they get that word electromagnetism. Magnetism, we used to say we get magnetism from the feminine, the moon, Mary Magdalene. The L was the masculine. Here we go again. Ancient terminology coming together. But the higher the electricity, the higher the magnetism. The higher the magnetism, the higher the electricity. That's why you see those yin and yang signs, and they start coming together. So no matter if you're male or female, whatever energy you're using, once you magnify the one you have the most, the other one will automatically magnify and get a lot bigger. So we used to see those halos on their head and stuff in ancient times. This is real key. When you deal with your organs, all of them do account for how much energy they need in order to make them healthy. There's a word that they measure it by called augmented units. Say your liver, for instance, needs about 500 augmented units for a healthy liver. Kidneys need like 200 augmented units for a healthy kidneys. Now follow this. This is key. So your brain, it needs at least 20 to 25% of the total energy of all the organs in the body. One time I was in the wintertime biking, and I started getting cold. And it was amazing how my body started shutting down different parts of the body, because the brain, all it cares about getting its energy first to keep the rest of the body going. So it starts shutting down certain things in order for it to live. See, sometimes we get sick, or your body, where you pushing yourself and say, I couldn't push myself no more, I had to go to sleep. Your brain made you do that. Your brain said, wait a minute, where's my energy coming from? You running me too hard, I'm going to shut you down. So sometimes a person will work themselves sick, don't know what took place because the brain set you down, so it could get its energy. That's why the doctors say for you to heal, make sure you go get plenty of rest. He basically said, make sure you go meditate. Because it's medication. Right. Relax yourself to heal him. But the body already knows how to heal itself. When I was in Morocco, it was this dog that must have had a rough night. I don't know what he ate. He was sick. And he stayed there for 3 days and 3 nights, not eating nothing until he got well again. He even knew not to fast. Lay down in the sun until he got, because you know, whether he knew it or not, he's part of nature. He healed himself. He didn't go to no doctor, didn't go to the vet. Right. Straight healed himself. So when you deal with all these diet changes, even now fasting and intermittent eating is on the scene like never before.
Right.
And it's going to get even bigger. And there's many diet changes out there. But the greatest one is not eating at all. And it's not even a diet change. And notice when you go on these fasting forums and you look on YouTube, people talking about fasting, there's nothing negative coming out of that whatsoever. People are telling what's happening. About the 3rd or 4th day, your hunger and your thirst decrease. All of this stuff. So just think if you put the rest of the package to this, what you can do with it. You understand? That's why this is a holistic lifestyle. What did I say in the beginning in my holistic lifestyle? First I started lightening up on lighter foods. Then I started fasting once a week and made it continually. Then I started learning to meditate. Then I started learning to exercise. Everything started becoming one. And then you start picking up this other consciousness, and I like the word you use. Then I began to engage the universal laws to open up the promise. Or it won't happen. Take it further and further. Till you have your own self-realization. When you know a shadow of a doubt, you know you can live off the forces. You ain't got to listen to nobody else. So when you listen to somebody else's testimony, that's what we call a belief system. A belief system is you're just believing in or hoping in somebody else's testimony. Self-realization is when it comes back home. You know without a shadow of a doubt. So you can open up this inward knowing. And then that's when you know. And it becomes real. That's why this old thing was know thyself is to know the universe. Just making sense.
Yeah. We understand the universe.
So those are the keys. And I like how you use that word engage. So everybody's dealing with health. I don't care where you at. From young all the way to the elder. So even where you at now, you ain't got to go far-fetched too far. People like to jump ahead. Go into from one food consumption and jump way into another one. Don't do that to yourself. Because you remember I said true spirituality is the path of pleasure. There's only one law, and the law is pleasure. So you want your spiritual journey to be pleasurable. Because if it's not, if you try to suppress something, eventually it'll come back out. And then you're beating up on yourself, and that's not what it's about. The body will let you know. The mind will let you know when I'm ready just to tweak it a little bit more to see these improvements come about.
So it's Continuity of application.
The continuity of application. I love it. That's it in a nutshell. And now what makes the story changes, like you said, I just met somebody who's food free. All right, you met him. I'm telling it to you. Now let me tell you what's happening on the world scene. I'm educating thousands just by myself. There's other people out there doing the same thing. We're not stopping. This ain't going to be the last time you hear it. We're in a whole nother age. Knowledge has increased, and this is the time. And just like when we're dealing with external technology, even nations is talking about what? Free energy.
Right, right. So why is it the time?
Why is it the time? Well, we got our dispensations of times where, in other words, it's sort of like you learning your own lesson. We just chase the materialism and see where it led us. Because I've been around many people who have money, millionaires and stuff, who couldn't enjoy the house, couldn't enjoy the boat, couldn't enjoy the car due to the premature living of what they did to the health. So now people are kind of waking up all over the place. From my experience, I deal with many different nations, many different people from different lifestyles, and especially dealing with these first world countries. So there's a term I use called, now let me get this term right, because you can't even starve being in a first world country. Come on now. You could be homeless and overweight. So let's get that out there. Well, if you starve, ain't nobody starving. And you have access to money even if you ain't got no money. So let's don't even get into that. So therefore, everybody is realizing that they can apply this new idea because we have a crisis that's taking place that's serious. Just dealing with preventable diseases. That means it did not have to happen. Right now, we got somebody, due to the knowledge that's out here now, there's somebody who's born right now who's going to see 200 years old easily. Due to the family they're born in and everything else about the knowledge that's out here. Easy. So knowledge has increased, and just like anything, when it hits bottom, it automatically goes the other way. That's how light goes. It goes in this fluctuation, and we all being beings of light, we have hit that plateau where you see everybody, you can see people merging together more, working together more, and sharing these ideas more to enliven themselves and bring back the tree of life.
That's what more communities and
Absolutely.
Communa.
And that's the unified consciousness. That's his work.
Is it one idea?
One idea. Absolutely. And due to this knowledge that we're increasing, notice how I grabbed the different words of different cultures, brought it all together. So everywhere I go and do that, everybody's clear. And when I look at different people's knowledge, everybody got that in there. That's why it's easy to teach this. And like I said, it all depends, even on this age of the internet. All it depends now is what are you looking at when you're on the internet. When I'm talking ain't far-fetched, go look. You understand? So everybody's already there. This is user-friendly and it's easy. So therefore, but we got to keep in mind that the most used porn website that's looked at on the internet is porn.
Yeah.
But that's that sexual energy again. The kundalini getting away from everybody. So we got to bring it back home. So even when we deal with this life force energy, there was a man named Wilhelm Reich after World War II that created, he used the word organ. Any of y'all ever heard of that? He made the organ instruments and stuff. But that comes from the word orgasm. He's basically saying this is sexual energy. It gives life. So every time you see a new animal out of nature, a new plant growing, it just has sex. A new cell being born, it just has sex. So don't look at the knowledge as being the physical form of sex, of being ugly. We're just saying the creative force of it. So you could take this creative force and take it to some other levels to really enliven your soul.
So where does the word sex come from? I don't see nowhere in the scriptures. Where does sex come from?
Oh, that word?
That terminology.
There's many different words that could have been used, that terminology. I did try to look it up as far as I can one time. I'll do it again and get on my mission so I can be more clear.
Acronyms?
Right, I gotta find that. That's a good key. All right, anybody listening? We got to look up where the word sex come from. Message me. Give it to me.
Okay.
Where did that word come from?
Intercourse. Another word. Intercourse. Wouldn't you also have intercourse with the man?
Absolutely. Oh, I like how you brought that. That's a whole nother lesson.
Yeah, okay.
That's a whole nother package that will take. See, once you open up that other door, talk about the sex education part,
Right.
I could teach on that one for days. That'll open up a whole nother door. Right now, we're just trying to get the basics,
Okay.
but that'll go deep. Even intercourse, you're entering the course. Whole nother ball game. So, but dealing with the other way, when you really start going into brahmachari or holding your seed and stuff like that, or the sexual fluids, that's a whole nother ball game. So that package is so big, whole nother experience on how you're dealing with the energies. So like I said, this don't quit.
But
Is that Taurus?
is it necessary to know about it before you can continue the process, or to get to the second level, to open the second chakra?
What's that?
Taurus.
But you would have to go through that intercourse level, or that first chakra, and get it, well known, how to deal with it before you can even go to the second one. So what would be the proper way of having intercourse, or to have
You talking about the physical
the
sex?
physical? I'm saying, but in order to open up, that's the first chakra though.
Right.
Dealing with
Which is your physical body.
your physical body.
So even if a person, see, I'm bringing this up just to make it clear. Let's take a person out on the world, for instance, who don't know nothing about spirituality, don't know nothing about energy. They're sitting there at home and saying, out of shape, and they get a membership at the gym. 6 months down the line, they're feeling better. What is they going to say? I got more energy. They lost weight, they got more energy. Whether if they know these terms we're saying, they just dealt with their first chakra to open up the rest of them. You see what I'm saying? They got their health together. See, this is a health message. That's all it is. Food freedom isn't far-fetched. Food freedom is a byproduct of taking the health message seriously. Understanding this is your foundation and this is your life. Really taking it seriously. I ain't gonna work no back-breaking job that's gonna break my back. I'm serious. Why should I hurt my health over some pennies? That ain't healthy for me. Right. That's the way I look at it. There's only one me. Some woman tried to tell me to list some cement bags one time. I said, "You crazy? Go get over it." Right. Serious. That's where I'm at now. You're supposed to be helping me. I'm helping you by staying healthy.
There you go. We see that the higher conscious that you go, the more you connect with the universe's forces
Right.
of that. And they will give you knowledge that basically you didn't have, like you say, you don't believe, but now you know.
Here we go.
There you go.
He said the higher consciousness, as you tap it into it, will give you information that you really didn't know before, but it'll give you what you need to know.
Okay.
I love it. On the way down here when I was driving to southern Israel, a friend of mine was driving me and she was talking about Israel, talking about the word, and she basically was saying, going directly to God. You don't need no external sources, so I loved it. So then when we got to the one group, they started talking about the consciousness. When you tap into it, you'll go into knowing, straight up. And that's what it deals with again. Now, I'm going to talk about myself because that's all I know how to talk about in my own evolution. I'm a genius. I'm a genius because when I need to know something, I know it. I know everything. Right.
No brag.
I give myself
You
everything.
know brag just
Right.
because you know. I know.
Didn't they say the second, the intestines is a brain? The heart chakra is a brain? All of this. Now if they open and I ain't put no food there, it's open. Everything's open. So you're a genius. That's what we're transforming into. In science, they say the human being is a Homo sapien. So you're transforming from a Homo sapien to a Homo genius. You should know these things.
Going optional, we be talking sometimes. Sometimes he hit me hard. He said, Uriah, you're God. I said, what the talking about? But this is what we are talking about.
This is what we're talking about. In a nutshell.
So you have access to the library of eternal.
Right. Some call it the Akashi records, this and that. We playing games. But again, yes.
Yeah.
You're hooked up with nature.
That's how Guru I be talking.
Because we live in a realm of all knowing. We live in a unified realm. When you become one with it, that's just it. And everybody tap into bits and pieces. You know, they drive in a car. Some told them to go to the right. There was a car accident down here. Man, I could have been good. You know, we're playing with it, but it's the fragmentation of it. But when a human being opens up, like somebody just said, well, why do you want to go breatharian? So you could be going, why wouldn't you want to be? You could go back into your potential. My feet is on the ground, you might as well go full go. Why would I want to keep being stuck on chicken all my life? That don't even make sense. I'll grow it. I mean, come on now, you already had the experience. When I was 20 years old, I used to take myself out to eat before I go partying, and I enjoyed the steak and the fries. I don't want to do that now, I outgrew it. It's in the past now, I'm having a whole nother experience.
So it's not really an experience, it's another life.
It's another life. Whole nother life.
Right.
Whole nother life.
Right.
Sometimes I forget. People say, what do you do all day? And I have to think about it from my old life. Man, I didn't have to think about breakfast. I was walking on the beach. I mean, it's a lot of work out there. I mean, for real.
The universal forces will take care of it.
The universal forces will take care of it.
There you go. I hear that. No, I understand what you're saying.
This is what we're saying. So that's why as more and more humanity wake up to this, of course, as we start collectively coming into this unified consciousness, changing the governments is going to be guaranteed because the people make the governments. Like I said, the last duality, the governmental systems, and it ain't their fault, everybody was in duality. So it only supported the duality thought process. But now it's become more and more of this, and this is what I see to update everybody. They got more pranic festivals, more people talking about it. When I came into this 19 years ago, there wasn't that much information. There's more writings, there's more books, there's more teachers. Absolutely. And like I said, don't think about just becoming food free. It's a health message. That's what it is. Healthy living, healthy friends. Because the real nourishment is not only when we talk about the unified consciousness, now let's take it even deeper. The people that's external from you is the unified consciousness. I don't care how they behaving. So if you want to develop, that's the fragmented part of yourself that's coming external. That's now your new training ground. When I learned that, I'm like, oh, come on with it now so I can grow. You see them start changing because you understand that's you.
Okay, understand.
So I watch how I treat people now.
Okay.
It's me. We've been talking it. But to make it a reality is a whole nother ballgame.
Okay.
Really got to watch it. Because it's nourishing you. We don't understand. As soon as you put that little block up, that that's your enemy or somebody different, you went back into duality. And you're not being nourished. You got to go back to external sources. The rules didn't change.
Right.
So to make this into a reality,
What you feel.
and I got family all over the place. That's all it's doing. My family just became enlarged. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Man, I'm about to go to Egypt tomorrow. To my other family.
Wow. You're really going to Egypt tomorrow?
All right.
Wow.
All over the place.
And other people want to hear this and just...
All over the place.
Wow.
It's spreading.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm carrying the virus myself, if we want to call it that. What else am I supposed to talk about?
Okay. How old are you?
50.
Okay.
What else am I supposed to talk about? This is the conversation.
Right.
We ain't talking about the new movie that's out. This is the movie. The entertainment is free. Right. This is the book. Like we said, new knowing. You read enough books. You already got it now. That's all you got to do is just start applying it more and more and watch it come into pass. So that is the unified consciousness. We've been looking at it as being invisible, and see that now this is getting even deeper. You say the term, okay, don't you know you're a God? I am a God. Then you start seeing all of this as God. It's a whole nother piece.
Okay. Okay.
I don't expect to be treated mean. I'm not going to treat myself mean. People be helping me, escorting me, right? That's all you want.
Sometime when I have meditated, I will go into a deep sleep, and I don't really stay conscious. I go to sleep.
Right.
And sometimes I see just a yellow light, a white light, and when it really get deeper, I see the golden light, like that. And I could tell that I went into another level of consciousness.
Right.
Okay, that was a couple of times when I was exceedingly tired that I didn't really, I kind of like inattentionally left my body.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I had a hard time getting back into my body because there was another spirit there trying to keep me out my body.
Right.
And I can't go. I
I'm glad
did that
you
2 or 3
said that.
times. Okay, I did that 2 or 3 times accidentally. But you can't. I find that you can't do it when you're tired. Go into that deep, but you got to do it when conscious, when you got your mind more so together.
This is not far-fetched what he's saying.
Yeah.
See, this is what it boils down to. No separation again. That electromagnetic field that's coming off of us is you.
Okay.
You're all up in it playing.
Okay.
You're all up in nature. See, this is just remember I said in Kriya Yoga, 7 different levels. This is the 3rd level where hunger and thirst alleviate. Now that's not saying you never have to eat again, so let's make it make sense.
Okay.
You just grabbed a new power where you don't have to. Hunger and thirst are there, but people say I'm hungry, I don't know what they're talking about. That's just some growls or whatever, that's how you interpret it. But, let's get into this. The other levels, you can't even fully enjoy that level of consciousness if you can't even master external food. Why wouldn't you want to see that? And even the food itself, if you can't back up every once in a while and say, man, I never tasted this before. What did this taste? You can taste it all. Your taste buds is open. You sitting there eating every day, everything's dull. You just like a pig in a slop. Ain't even eating the food. Don't even know what it tastes like. That don't even make sense. So you want to enliven up everything. Ain't that what that definition said about the soul? It enlivens the body. Come back to life instead of the walking dead. That's why the prophet looked at the people and said they were already dead. They were walking around, so the average person, due to the reality thought process, is a transient being. That means that they're here today, they're gone tomorrow. They're just passing through. They ain't lying either. So you might as well treat them nice. Last time you see them.
That's so true.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Hallelujah.
Now this is good. Now we can do us a good meditation.
Okay.
Oh man. Joy y'all once again. And it's been